So this one is from TV Insider, and it is about Resident Alien. So kind of unfortunate news. Is it surprising? Not really. And to be honest, as somewhat of a disconnected fan, I would say at this point, of Resident Alien, I do think this is maybe for the best. And I've even seen this and heard this from avid fans of the show that are currently watching it right now. I'm fully caught up, fully invested. I've heard kind of the same sentiment. So anyways, this is the article from TV Insider. And so Resident Alien to end with season 4. All right, so it says, as Harry would say on Resident Alien, this is some bullshit. That's a really great line there. After 4 phenomenal seasons and endless accolades, the smartest sci-fi dramedy you should have been watching from the get-go will be ending its run at the end of this current season on USA Network. Just when Harry went and grew a soul, they have broken ours. So quote from Chris Sheridan here, the showrunner. I knew going into it that this was likely going to be our final season. Creatively, that was exciting because I knew we could spend the time wrapping up some storylines and driving toward an ending. I'm so proud of how good season 4 is, and especially proud that we were able to finish as strongly as we did, with a finale that is probably my favorite episode of the series. So this is great news, right? And so I'm going to come back to that in a minute here. So obviously it's based off the same comic book by Peter Hogan and Steve Parkhouse. The series first bowed back in January of 2021 on Sci-Fi, with Tudyk in the title role of a misanthropic ET who took over the body of Patience, Colorado Dr. Henry Vanderspiegel after landing on Earth. So then they have also some pictures here of the series. And then it says, since then, Harry has evolved from the most inappropriate fish-on-water figure hell-bent on eradicating mankind to one of TV's greatest inhuman characters, thanks to the show's razor-sharp writing and Tudyk's nearly alien knack for physical comedy and heartfelt emotion. So definitely agree with that for sure. I mean, there's just something to the show that was so unique, at least in season 1, right? And I think there's still elements of it now, but especially in season 1, there was something that was so unique about this show. And, I guess I'll talk about my experience with it, right? So I watched the first episode when it came out, the night of, I believe, and I could tell, that there was something here. I watched it was actually the trailer that really sold me here because I was not familiar with the comic. Alan Tudyk was a name that obviously I'd seen him in. I think Dodgeball was like one of the things I recognized him from. I'm a little ignorant, I guess, on his career because I know he's done a lot of other great things. But it was great to see him in a leading role. But this trailer, man, when it came out, it was like, damn, like this is really funny. Like this actually looks pretty good. And this was also around a time where there were not a lot of shows on because of what was going on back in 2021, right? So I checked it out. I checked out the first episode, and then I found myself, I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. There's something here. This is really unique. It's really funny. Alan Tudyk is so great in this role. And so I ended up, watching the rest of season 1 week to week as it aired and really enjoyed it. Now, season 2 to me, I had this weird kind of relationship with it because on one hand, I really loved that they were expanding stuff, adding lore to the story, and some of the stuff they were doing with it. It just became a bigger world for these characters and this story. But then on the other side of it, I thought they got a little too in the weeds with it. They just got a little carried away with how big they got and how expanded the show had become, that they kind of lost a little bit of that season 1 magic to me, or that kind of uniqueness, that quirkiness. And it kind of evolved more into the lore and adding all these kind of more of the kind of cliche stuff of other alien stories and this kind of thing. So to me, then when I heard that season 3, had fewer episodes, it very much sounded like they were making a little more of a focused story in that season. I was very optimistic for that. And unfortunately, I didn't make it to the end of season 3, and that's where I still am now with the show. I've not seen, any of season 4, obviously, because I didn't get to the end of season 3. So I remember liking the beginning, of season 3. It did feel a little bit more focused. I'm not sure what it was, to be honest. Maybe it was I had a lot of other shows on at the time. But there was just something a little still missing there. I don't think they ever quite... to me, actually, the peak of the show was the start of season 2. I think the first few episodes of season 2 were the best episodes of the series. And then from there, I think, it just kind of went down and down and down. And then, season 3, I was already kind of feeling that a little bit, getting a little turned off of it. And unfortunately, that's just where I landed on it. And I have not watched season 4. But as they say here, 3 episodes remain of the season, which drop, of season 4 that is, which drop Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern on USA Network and Sci-Fi, and are available the following week on Peacock. Of the finale, Sheridan continued that it gives Resident Alien a very satisfying ending, while also leaving the door cracked open for any future this world may have. I can't wait for everyone to see it. So this is where I wanted to get back to the quotes from Chris Sheridan here, the showrunner. Chris Sheridan, right? That's his name, Chris Sheridan, the showrunner here. Is that they knew, right? Or he basically had a very good idea that this was going to be the final season. And because of that, they were able to write a very satisfying, as he says, very satisfying ending to the story and for these characters. And so that's just the best news ever, right? Especially with a show like this. And how lucky, this show really has been. If you look at the track record of Sci-Fi and their shows that are on there that they cancel, it's unbelievable. Like, the track record that they have is just abysmal. And it always is like their best shows, their most well-received shows with fans that they cancel, right? And they usually do not get 4 seasons. I know obviously they moved the show now to USA Network for this last season, but technically they never get 3 to 4 seasons to actually really go and catch on and really develop. And so they've gotten really lucky. I think it was also the timing of what was going on in 2021 and the last few years with there not being as many productions. Especially with Sci-Fi and USA Network, like they basically have nothing these days outside of Resident Alien. And so they got lucky here, and it's just really great to see. But they've also gotten lucky in the fact that they were able to get ahead of things here, figure out, okay, this is probably going to be our final season. Let's write something that is very satisfying and really wraps everything up in a very, great way, again, very satisfying way for fans. So this is something that not many other sci-fi series has or get to do, let alone, just series in general on TV get to do. And so I think this is really awesome news. It's really just the best possible thing that, of course, yeah, would we like to see more seasons? Though, I don't know. I think a part of me is kind of happy that it's done. I think, again, going into even season 3, I did kind of notice, like, okay, I think there was enough where season 1 ended where we could come back, tell more to this story. There was more to tell. There was more to see. But at the end of season 2, I didn't have that same feeling necessarily. And so I think, yeah, maybe we do, maybe some of us, wanted to see more seasons of the show. But I also think there's a good portion of us that are like, okay, maybe it is best, that we end here. We end on a satisfying note, as they've said, as Chris Sheridan says, and that's kind of where we'll be. That's kind of where we end off, and the show will go down as a very complete, very great show at the end of the day, instead of, okay, now we go into season 5 and maybe it kind of falls down, the quality again, and then it's really just this diminishing returns. It goes on too long, the regular drill for a lot of shows. So, yeah, I think this kind of, let's say this. I think it's bittersweet news, basically, that it's going to be canceled effectively or ending with season 4, but they're able to get ahead of it, give us a satisfying ending, and, kind of wrap everything up in a very complete manner. And it also means that the show, won't drag on for seasons more, right? Beyond the point that it has to. So anyways, there also was an article just today that was kind of a follow-up to that. I just want to read a couple quotes from it because I thought there was actually some very interesting little things here that they've said. So this one's from Variety, this article here, and it says that Alice Witterland, of course, who plays what's her name? Darcy, right? I think it's Darcy in the show, if I remember correctly. It's been like a year since I've seen the show now. So she said she sounded off on the disarray of the TV industry on stage and told the packed crowd of Comic-Con fans that they deserve more of their show. So they did this panel on Comic-Con for the season, which I think the article states, like, ironically, this was their first time being at Comic-Con for a panel, and it ends up being their last season of the show. So it's kind of funny and kind of actually really sucks. But anyways, she says, quote, "We know that you guys deserve more than you're getting on a lot of shows and movies. The industry is in disarray and it's been disrupted," she said. "Thanks, tech. In a world where TV were normal, we could have way more. The only reason that's not true is not because anybody behind the show doesn't want it. It's because the way the industry works now. You guys deserve more of this." So that's a really fascinating quote that she had. I think that's really true. I don't think many people will end up seeing this because she's not a huge actress, obviously, and the Resident Alien is not a huge show. But this should be posted on like every billboard. This is a great quote from somebody that's in the industry working in it as an actress to say this. You guys deserve way more, than the industry is. You guys deserve more of this show. And she's right. I mean, even if you want to go into the way that Resident Alien has been treated, like I just got done saying, they've been very lucky. But they've also had those complications. Season 3 took a long time, the production of it. I think it was very much up in the air for Season 4. It almost sounded like at one point that it was going to be canceled after Season 3. And then the production for this season was kind of delayed. So, even Resident Alien went through that, the kind of inner workings of the industry kind of delaying things and giving them kind of problems. And so I think she's definitely, hinting at that, but she's also hinting at something else, which is the gaps between seasons, the lack of episodes, all of this stuff. So I just thought that was a really interesting quote that she said. Really, really cool to see somebody say that. So yeah, she says you guys deserve more of this. So talking about Resident Alien, but also just TV in general. Sheridan said a movie continuation of the show seems plausible in the future, but doesn't have any plans for it right now. And so we'll just end off with this quote here. "There won't be another season of the show right now. I do hope for a movie down the road. I think that's a plausible thing and that USA does do. No time soon. It's not like I have ideas, but I think that's something that could happen. I don't know about another season, but the industry is always changing. Who knows?" So a good kind of note to end off then for this story of Resident Alien. Maybe a movie down the road. Maybe that's something that happens. Most likely not another season of the show. And I think this show would be perfect in terms of just a movie down the road, in 2 to 3 years from now or something. They want to capitalize on Resident Alien. Maybe it goes to a streaming service or on Peacock, and maybe it really, pops, and maybe they want to, take advantage of that opportunity, kind of pounce on it, on that IP, and make something. Maybe they do a movie of it. I'm down for that. I think that could be really cool. And so that's obviously something, Sheridan's open to and thinks the network might be open to. But other than that, this might be the end of Resident Alien. So anyways, love to hear your guys' thoughts on this news, of course. If you would be down for something like that, like a movie in the future. Are you satisfied with this being the last season? And it sounds like the finale is very much designed in that way. So love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one, as always.